Lindsay, welcome to the show. Lovely to have you on.
Thank you, Michael.
Let's give everybody a bit of a background to yourself, will you? How did you get involved in basically discerning, if you like, analysing our country, its society, the social investment we have and haven't made?
Well, I'm not a professional per se. You know, I sort of did half a degree, but became a parent, and as happens to a lot of people, you start taking an interest in the plight of children when you have your own. I think in the early 90s, no, probably to the mid-90s, I'd returned from spending some time overseas, got back here, started a family, and started looking at the political landscape. There was a particular event that really sort of shook me, and you'll recall it, Michael. It was the death of Lily Bing, the little child in the Wairarapa. And I recall at the time I was driving my car and I was listening to Paul Henry, I think, was, who said, you know, really, people, we are all complicit in the death of this child because we're all paying taxes for the system and for the benefit that she was being raised on. And it just sort of, it was that point, you know, that I started thinking, oh, surely not. And just thinking, you know, quite deeply, I think, about the way we had set society up for too many children to be failing, despite our best intentions.
Yes, just for people who don't know about Lily Bing, and that will be some people here who... Lily Bing was a little Maori child who was essentially tortured and then killed by her caregivers, by her mother and I think her sister. And
her auntie.
Her auntie, that's right. Yes, the mother's sister, that's right, her auntie.
I think she was in the care of her auntie, actually.
Oh, right. She mostly lived in Masterton, little Lily Bing, with her mother, grandmother and 4 of her aunts and uncles, aged between 10 and 18. Her father, Joshua Kairatiana, was 17 when she was born. And he had fathered her older brother when he was 14. So she was coming from that kind of background. And she was killed inside her family home in July the 20th, in actual fact, 2000, July 2000. And her circumstances of her death shocked the country because it was the first time that we realised that there were children living those sorts of appalling lives and that kind of appalling danger with that kind of appalling outcome. And you're right, it shocked the country, the death of Lily Bing. There are scores, hundreds of dead Maori babies who've died since the July 2000. Whenever there's another one that dies these days in 2024, they get very little coverage with the obvious exception of a few. But as a general rule, New Zealand's child death rate and child abuse rate has got worse, not better, since July 2000, and now we seem almost indifferent to that. Why is that, Lindsay? Because it's too common?
I think, when you talk to people in a personal sense, people still care deeply. But there's almost, you feel like you're hitting your head against the wall. Because as you spoke about what I wrote yesterday, it just goes on. The circumstances that we set up for children to be born into, to people who really, my opinion is that if there weren't welfare benefits, generous welfare benefits, open-ended welfare benefits, a good number of these children would never have been born.
So you're saying that our welfare system encourages people to have children and to abuse them?
Yes. I'm not saying that everybody who's relying on a welfare benefit is going to abuse their child. That would be patently ridiculous. But children on welfare are far more likely to be victims of abuse, and we've got all of that data. We know which children, we know the circumstances that surround children who have a substantiated finding of abuse or neglect. Let me just give you a quote from researchers at Auckland University. Here's the quote. Of all children having a finding of maltreatment by age 5, 83% are seen on a benefit before age 2. 83%.
Okay, and there are plenty of other statistics that would support that, including a latest statistic that shows, I'm not sure if you're aware of it, Lindsay, I'm sure you are actually. I think it's been produced by the Ministry for Education or researchers associated with, that shows that Maori kids, irrespective of their socioeconomic background, achieve worse than any other ethnicity in this country when made comparisons to. Now that is not new information, but it has been confirmed by the latest research that's been published in the last 24 hours. Now, the answer that we're getting for both the reason why you're on welfare, child abuse statistics in this country, and the latter, education statistics, is because Maori were colonised by a superior European civilization, over 200 years ago. Does that hold any water with you?
No, not at all. In fact, I find it quite offensive because I'm being blamed for things that happen which hurt me to think about, but I can't control them. And this whole idea, all it does is turn people into victims, and they take that on board. They take no responsibility, therefore, for their own actions because, well, in this case, as you say, it's the coloniser that did this to me. It's just a total cop-out. And we're always looking backwards and we're never looking forwards. We can't change the past now. We can make reparations for land loss and so on. But to continue to push this message to very susceptible people that they are somehow to be excused for all of their actions, no matter how terrible they are, is just going to invite more.
In terms of the deleterious effects of decolonisation, the answer is decolonisation, but the problems is that many in the academic, the governance sector of Wellington, the public policy makers within schools, even within local government, for God's sake, see that any adverse statistics related to education, welfare, crime and health, incarceration rates are essentially the result of colonisation, and that decolonisation is the policy response. Do you know what that means?
No, I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, well, what's that going to look like? Can you tell me what that looks like, decolonisation?
No,
I have no idea.
I do know that it means that I'll compulsorily teach you about the Treaty of Waitangi if you are an undergraduate at Auckland University, or I'll make you go to a cultural workshop if you're a local government or a state sector employee. But I'm still struggling to see how that will improve these rates.
Yes, I mean, is decolonisation going to include, I don't know, courses on how to be a better parent, how to instill a work ethic, or to value education? These are the things that we actually need to be pushing. Going back to what you were talking about before, and yes, the stat today about Maori failing to get university education. They don't value education enough.